Hello students, today's lesson will be on finding slope and y-intercept and writing a linear equation. Alright, but before we start doing that, we are going to see if these points, okay, if there's a solution to that linear equation. Okay, linear equation just means what we've been doing, an equation that creates a straight line. Alright, so to check, I will give you a couple problems, you do the rest on your own. So again, these are points, and these points are x and y, okay? So you want to see if that point, if it's on this straight line here. So all you do is just wherever the letter says y, you plug in for 12. Where the letter says x, you plug in for 1. I'm going to show my work right here, okay? So I'm going to rewrite this one, but I don't write y, I write 12 instead. So that becomes 12. That becomes 1. Watch right here, guys. Okay, so it becomes 12 is equal to 1 plus 12. Again, that turns into 12, that turns into 1, and you still got plus 12. And then you do this work here to see if this is going to give you 12. And obviously, 12 does not equal 1 plus 12, which is 13. So therefore, this point is not part of that linear equation, which is not on that line. So the answer is no. Alright, I'm going to zoom in just quickly. Alright, so let's try it one more time. Again, your first number is always x, your second number is always y, and now I'm going to plug in this point, my x and y, into here. Okay, so that y turns into 3. So that I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to write 3 right there. 2 over 3 times x, which is 6, minus 1. Alright, so we're going to do the math here and see if this is going to give me 3. If it gives me 3, the answer is yes. If it doesn't give me 3, then the answer is no. Okay, multiplying fraction, I have 3. Okay, so I'm just rewriting, I'm just doing some math here. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3. Minus 1. Again, I just multiply this part here and I got 12 over 3. And then here, I'll rewrite my work right there, okay? So 3, does that equal to 12 over 3 minus 1? 12 over 3 is 4. 4 minus 1. Oh, yes. So my answer is yes. So your answer is yes or no. But when I check your work, make sure you show all of the steps for every single one of them. Again, just plug in x and y into that there. That's 5 times x. And see if they're equal. If they're equal, then the answer is yes. If they're not equal, then the answer is no. Alright? Alright. Now, before we find slope and y-intercept, let's practice finding slope first on a given graph. Okay? So let's go back. I'll go to the page over. Okay? So before we start, on the top right here, you should always remember that slope is the same thing as rise over run. And today we're going to learn something new. It's going to be, rise is actually called the rate. That's actually called, let's see here, actually it's not called that. Okay. It's called change, my bad, change in y. And then your run is actually also known as change in x, okay? And the faster way of writing change in y, change in x is a triangle y over a triangle x, okay? So we're going to use this. So when you see this, you don't say triangle y, you say change in y and change in x, okay? So we're going to use this method a lot. Let's practice finding the slope of this graph here, okay? So to find a slope, you always go from the left point to the right point. So from here to here, okay? And remember, guys, we always did that already, right? The rise over run. So it looks like from here to here, it went down, and I want you to count first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So it went down 5. That is called your change in y. And then you went over 4, and that's a change in x, which is a positive 4. Remember, guys, down is negative, up is positive, and we always go right, okay? So for your slope, your change in y is equal to negative 5 over your change in x, which is also 4. So your final answer, which is negative 5 over 4. Let's try it again real fast. Again, from left to right. So from that point to that point, you go up how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So you change in y, okay, and change in x. All right. So again, you went up 4, that means positive 4, and we always go right. 1, 2, and over 2. Okay. You can leave it as 4 over 2, or you could just reduce that to 2 or 2 over 1. It doesn't matter. Let's try it again. Number 3. Again, if you're confused, you can rewind, go back and look and check. Okay. Again, this one, you're going from this to this. Okay. So you change in y over change in x. Let's check right now. So it looks like you went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's going up, so therefore it's positive 7. And then right is always positive. Remember, guys, you always go right. 1, 2, 3, and that's my final answer. You can't reduce that. You don't really need to make it into a mixed number. All right. Now, when you do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you don't actually need to write this part down. You could just write down the answer, but you do want to draw your line so you know if you're going down or if you're going up, and you're always going over, okay? So actually, let me go back and rewrite this one. This one here is 3. This one is 2, okay? So you want to write these numbers down. That's super important. All right, next page, okay? So again, I'm going to rewrite again. Change in y over change in x, okay? So we're going to use that every single time, okay? So change in y, it also means the same thing as the difference of y, okay? So draw a little line here, okay? So it looks like you're going from $15 to $12. That means your change in y is negative 3. It's going down 3, okay? And your x is going from 0 to 5. That means positive 5. All right? So again, you're going from 15 to 12, it's negative 3. You're going from 0 to 5, it's 5. All right? So your change in y is right here, negative 3. Your change in x is 5. And then you're supposed to write that as change in y over change in x. So you're supposed to write that as a fraction. Okay? So negative 3 over 5. So change in y over change in x. So negative 3 over 5 is my final answer. All right? Now, to find your y-intercept, your start, like where do you start? Okay? That one there, you got to make sure you look at the graph. I'm sorry, not the graph, but the table, and find x for 0. There it is, right? I'm going to use a different pen real fast. Okay? So x is 0. So therefore, this right here, circle it, that is your y-intercept. That means this is where the graph starts. The graph starts at 15. Okay? So find your 0, and then that's your y-intercept. Okay? So my y-intercept is 15. All right? And then I know they don't have it, but let's write down our equation. That these are only 2 you need. So y is equal to negative 3 over 5x plus 15. And again, that's your slope. You go down 3 over 5, and then that's your y-intercept. This is where you start. You start at 15. Okay? Now, if they give you a graph, the first thing you want to do is you want to find your y-intercept. Okay? And I'm using a red pen. So follow the line, and then where the graph hits is your y-intercept. That's negative 1. Y-intercept is negative 1. I'll put it right here. Okay? And then, to find your slope, you might want to just follow the right side. Okay? And then you want to stop where it hits the corner so you're able to count in like the whole number. Okay? So keep on going, keep on going. You don't want to stop here. That's like, oh, that's 1 and 1.5. No. Keep on going. Look, it hits the corner right here. From that line to that line, it hits that corner. So therefore, it's easy for us to count, okay? So again, change in y over change in x. So it looks like I went down 1 over 2. So negative 1 over 2. It's always up and down first. It goes on top, and then your x goes on the bottom. So again, let me rewrite that so you can see that a bit better. So then it'll be negative 1 over 2. All right, let's write down our equation. Y is equal to your slope, which is negative 1 over 2x minus 1. And there you go. That is where you start. And then from there, you go down 1 over 2. You start here, down 1 over 2. Perfect. if they give you an equation, that's really easy. Your slope is always the number in front of x. Okay, it's called the coefficient. Now, if there's no number, there's a 1 there. Okay, so your slope is equal to 1, or you can write 1 over 1. That's really up to you. And then your y-intercept is -6. All right, and that's pretty much it for our notes. Okay, so this one is the same thing. You want to find your change in y over change in x. You're going to use change in y over change in x. That should give you a fraction answer. And then find your y-intercept. Okay, and then you want to write down your equation. All right, here, we'll just go over it real quickly. Okay, so your change in y is a +5. You don't need to write down +5. And then your change in x, you go from -2 to 0, it's also +2. So therefore, it's 5 over 2. It's always changing y over changing x. 5 over 2. Your y-intercept, again, find a 0, and then that right there is your y-intercept. So that's 10. Okay, so write down your equation. Y is equal to 5 over 2x, and then +10. All right, so for B, it's actually pretty similar to, I promise I don't want to go over it. You should be able to try this one on your own. Find your slope. Okay, find your slope, right here. Find your y-intercept, and then write down an equation. This one, they already gave you an equation, so just tell me what the slope is, tell me what the y-intercept is, and then you're done for C. All right, it's pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. Find your y-intercept, find your slope, find your y-intercept, find your slope, find your y-intercept, find your slope, and write down an equation for A and all of B. Okay. Now for C, they already gave you the equation, so just write down the slope and y-intercept. But for these guys, you need to write down the slope, y-intercept, and you need to write down a linear equation. Okay. Last page, again, they gave you a graph, find the slope, and then find the y-intercept, and then write down an equation. Okay. So again, slope, y-intercept, write down the equation. This one, they want you to check to see if they give you the same number. So what's the change? If they always give you the same slope, then it is a linear equation. All right, linear relationship. All right. So this one here is check the slope for all of them. Check the change in y over change in x, and just check those two, check those two, check those two. If they always give you the same slope, then therefore it is a linear relationship. Number 3 is just a review. Solve for x, solve for x, solve for x. Distributive property first. 4 is multiple choice. Which one is not equal to the others? Which one is different? If I were you, do the distributive property and collect like terms first. Collect like terms first. And then you see which one will be different. All right? And I think that's it. We will go over this when I come back. Thank you.